guys. Can y'all hear me? Is my music too loud? Hey, Margie, how are you doing? Just me. Nancy, how y'all doing? Y'all staying up late tonight? So I gotta catch up on this candle stuff tonight. So I had Kennedy. Good evening, Tina. Robin, how are you? So y'all don't mind me working? Oh, anyone else can't sleep? Man, we'll sleep when we die. That's hold on. Oh, sorry, I got these comments. I just screwed up. Watching a movie. What movie you watching? Hey, I'll tell you oh man. Oh no, I remember the name of it. Margie, a movie that I would recommend. Good to see you, Dawn. Jumanji. That's a good one. But I'll tell you one that I recommend. I'm not a crier, but I almost cry every time I watch it. It is called Redeeming Love. And it's about this guy who it's set kind of in the old Western days. And this guy, he's asking God for a wife. And he goes into town and he sees some prostitute. And he feels like that's the woman he's supposed to marry. And the woman tries to leave him and tries. And it just, man, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. There's not a lot of junk in it. You know, there's a little, I wouldn't watch it with like a 10-year-old or anything. Oh, Pam, I'm glad you like it. You're watching Ryan the Roaster. Well, I might disappoint. I'm literally just putting together some orders. And so Kennedy was in here helping me earlier. And my dog, I've got a golden doodle named Finn. And whenever we're doing candles, he is allowed to come hang out with us. But he wasn't having fun. And so he would just sit here and stare at us, and he'd start talking to us and say like, hey, I'm ready to go home. So I had to send, so Kennedy, I didn't send her. She just went, she said, I'll take him home. And I said, well, I'm going to stay here and put together some orders. Just to see what Michael Key. Michael Key, man, you got a radar on me, brother? I have grown very fond of Michael Key. Deep South Texas. So you're a golden doodle named Lola. So we named ours Huckleberry Finn, but his nickname is Finnegan McFluffigans. So I got to get another one. I told my son that when he went off to college, I told McCain that I got that dog to replace him. And that's a spoiled dog, man. He wouldn't make it in the real world. I know you would, Michael. Man, we got everybody so nobody can sleep tonight. But yeah, so Kennedy was here helping me. And she's going to come in and help me a little bit tomorrow. But what y'all want to talk about tonight? I just, I felt the impulse to come on here. And sometimes I've learned sometimes it's my imagination. And sometimes it's because the good Lord's up to something. And so So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, just working. This is the joys of entrepreneurship right here. Is when everybody else is hanging out, you just gotta keep on. How do they say that? With your hand on the plow. And so, did y'all all see Jason's video? Jason's video about that fire they had. Man, I tell you, I'm not an emotional guy. There is an emotional guy watching this, but I'm not going to call him out. But I'm not an emotional guy, man. That about brought a tear to my eyes. Don't muzzle the ox. Am I working on a new scent? We've got a couple in the. We've got a couple scents kind of in the barrel, but you know, with being a small business, you put capital out into one thing, and you got a lot of it tied up, and so I've got to sell some candles, move some candles before we can start buying a bunch more inventory. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's one of the things. It's trying to be wise with business and not stretching yourself out too much. Does that make sense? So, you know, there's a million things that I've done wrong, but sometimes we get it right. And so you got to celebrate. You got to celebrate the times you get it right and brush off the times. Where's Longhorn Lester? I don't know. Longhorn Lester's probably asleep. He's got a few years on me. I hadn't messed with Lester for a while. I might have to. Teresa, I appreciate it. I like people. People is my passion. So this is actually a lot of fun for me, and you know, I kind of told the Lord, as long as it's helping people, I'll keep doing it. And so that's kind of the attack Satan doesn't attack a dead tree. Man, I appreciate your encouragement, Margie. I really do. Thank you, Karen. Karen, you got to send an email, and we can, if you send it quick enough, we can adjust that. Check out Lester's video. Is he wearing the wig? Watch his video from his date. It'll make me smile. Will it make me smile or make me laugh? So, Pam, we haven't had anybody fussing about like having any issues with the melting, but what I'm being intentional about is we're just shipping them on. Oh, I got to pay attention. We're just shipping them on Mondays and Tuesdays, so they don't sit. So they don't sit in a warehouse over the weekend. If they sit in a warehouse, I had some that I took home that of a scent I was trying. Bobby, we'll pray for you. Man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. All right, Lord, Holy Spirit, you're the comforter. I pray that you go to Bobby and her family. Man, my heart goes out to you. that's tough. Um, but yeah, that's one of my favorite. I got to put this one to the side. My stuff's getting tied up. But has anybody ever seen the movie Braveheart? I'm gonna wait. It might be lagging because my stuff's in the other room, the comments and everything. But has anybody ever seen that movie? That is, if I had to just say, what is your favorite movie, Ryan? I would have to say it's Braveheart. I've seen it 100 million times, and there's so many. For me, I call them like spiritual truths uh, in that movie. But I remember one of the first times after meeting Jesus, one of the first times I watched that movie. There was a scene in the movie that just really, it's like that scene got highlighted for me, and from that point on, it's, well, not from that point, but it's really. Oh, Janet, you've never seen it? So before I go into the spiritual stuff that got me on it, I you could probably call me a bad father, because I remember my son was like, I don't know, he might have been 6 or 7 years old. and I told him, I would always say, McCain, I said, there's a list of movies. There's a list of movies that before you become a man, you need to watch these movies. And Braveheart was one of them. And I fast forwarded it through some of the parts, but I made my son. He was probably, I don't know, he was under 10 years old, and I'm like, we're sitting there watching Braveheart, and but you know what? I guess I didn't screw up too bad, because he's headed in the right path. But the part of that movie that, man, it just sticks to me is William Wallace is sitting there, and they just got him for treason, and he's like, you got me for treason, but I never swore allegiance to your king. And they're about to like torture him and kill him the next day. And the queen, he had a little thing going, or with the princess, I guess. He had a little thing going with her, and she came in there and she gave him some poison, and she's like, please drink this. She's like, I can't stand the thought of you suffering. And he didn't want to take it. He said, no, this is going to dull my senses. I need to be in my right state of mind. And she kind of talked him into it, which, I know that's pretty easy to do. Kennedy can talk me into whatever she wants me to do for her. But then she leaves. Or she's sitting there talking. She's like, you're going to die. And he looks at her. And he says it in this, great Scottish accent. He's like, every man dies. It's just not that every man truly lives. And man, it's like, God, that ruined me. And it's like, how true was that statement in life? That at some point, everybody. Oh, real quick, Jessica, I send whole bean or ground coffee. So do a little bit of both. But in life, it's like, oh, thank you, Susan. I just gotta keep on chipping away. But in life, at some point, everybody's gonna die, and it's like, but does every man truly live? And it's like, man, and from that point, when I first saw that, from that point on, it's like, man, I want to truly live. I want to experience life. I don't want to let fear hold me back anymore. And bear with me, I got to get another sack. But it just inspired me to say, I've only got one life. I've only got a little bit of time on this earth, and I want to live, man. I don't want to just become some robot that goes to work, comes home, goes to sleep, gripes about what they do, doesn't make an impact. And so I read a book. This was about a year ago when I was praying about if I'm supposed to come back into the coffee and take a huge step of faith. Read this book called The Circle Maker. And in that book, there's a guy named, I think his name was Yanni or something like that. Karen, you be safe at work. But this guy, it was during a drought. It's like in the, Jewish history. And this guy, it was during a drought and when all the prophets were, non-existent. It's not a story in the Bible. It's in Jewish history. And they said this guy drew a circle in the ground and he said, God, I'm not leaving this circle until you send the rain. Don, I'm glad you got to hang out. But he said he's not going to leave the circle until it rains. And so he's standing there in this circle and people are looking at him, probably think he's crazy. And he's sitting there praying and asking for it to rain, and time goes by. Oh, hold on real quick, guys. Oh, man. No, Bobby, it's okay, man. That's what we're here for. What I would recommend, Bobby, is take the time to grieve. I think what people, one of the mistakes we make is we try and get through loss too quickly. And so I would just encourage you to take the necessary time to grieve. That's a tough. My brother, he's a veteran, and my big brother, and the service those guys do and the sacrifice they make. Unfortunately, right now this country isn't doing them due justice, but hopefully we'll get there. Those guys are guys that demand respect and honor for the sacrifice that they made. My grandfather fought, so so just take the time to grieve, Bobby. Don't let anybody force you into suppressing it, and don't let anybody tell you to get over it, man. That's not something you'll ever get over. And I hope you can find peace. My heart goes out to you. But it's tough. It's tough. I know everybody on here has lost somebody they love, and it's just I've never been good at telling people the right thing in those situations. Just say I'm sorry, and I truly mean it. It's just not man. I'm sorry. That's all I know to say. But it is a reminder. I mean, it's a reminder for everybody, for me too. It's like everyone, everyone dies. Got to make the most of this life while we're here. That's the thing, not let fear hold us back. When I was working construction, I had a discussion with a guy, and this guy was old school, like you cuss men out, you scare them, you threaten them to fire them. That's how you motivate men. And I had a discussion with him about the greatest motivator in life is love. And I said, usually what I've found, there's only a couple motivators. And for me, it's like there's fear and love. And I've learned that fear produces the minimum. But love goes above and beyond. So when I managed men, I would always be on their side, and I would do stuff. We ran like concrete, heavy construction, so we were doing like I got to do a bunch of cool man stuff. No, I know that's probably not politically correct, but like I got to run excavators, heavy equipment. I was a project manager, so I would manage these projects and had to run as a superintendent on some of them. So it was just a lot of fun stuff. I really enjoyed doing the work. And I would do things for those guys, because I believe that it's hard to love unless we realize we're loved. And so what I would do to these guys, I would set a goal, and like on a Friday, a lot of guys in corporate, what they'll do is they'll work the fool out of people Monday through Thursday, and then when they start getting that overtime, they'll send them home. But what I would do is, oh man, AJ, what's going on, brother? AJ was actually one of the guys who worked for me, and he was, man, this guy, good guy. He bought in, and I remember when he came and interviewed, he was wearing all this bling, and I made fun of him for it. But he turned out to be a really, really solid guy, and you could count on him. You could really count on him. He's watching this live because he misses me. Isn't that right, AJ? But man, that guy, let me tell you about AJ. This guy, he would sacrifice for his children. And if a man will make sacrifices for his wife and children, it's easy for me to respect them. So, good seeing you on here, AJ. Appreciate it, man. But now, so what I would do is, instead of sending them home right when it's beneficial for them to work, on Fridays, I'd set them a goal. And I'd say, if you reach this goal by 12 o'clock, you can go home, and I'm going to pay you the full day. And so, man, it would blow your mind how efficient those guys became. Man, those guys turned into Superman on Fridays. But it's like, I surpassed my goal. They got a little extra money in their pocket. They got to go home early on a Friday, and it was all good. So yeah, old Dave, man, you got to introduce Dave to Facebook. He's old school, but so love and fear. So fear produces. So we'll take this from a job standpoint. if somebody's doing what I say because they're terrified of me and because I hold the power, for them to be able to support their families, if they're terrified of me, they're going to do what it takes to not lose their job, right? But if I love those guys and I show them I've got their back, then when I really need them to dig in and be there, they're going to go above and beyond, right? Because they're doing it for love, not for fear. And so often we're fixing to turn this we're fixing to turn this spiritual. So what happens is, a lot of people are taught to be terrified of God. And it's like they're just going to do just enough. They're going to try and skirt the edge of screwing up. And so you might say, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And there's truth to that, right? So here's a cool thing that I learned a long time ago. So when I was a child, I obeyed my father, not because I knew that he knows best, all right? I didn't obey him for that reason. I obeyed him because if I didn't, he would wear my butt out with his belt. So I listened to him because I didn't want to get whooped. All right? So now that I'm an old man, not an old man, but I'm getting there. I got a lot of gray in my beard. But as I grew up, I learned my father's heart. And everything my father's done for me has been because of his love for me. Even those paddlings I got when I was young. Okay? But now that I'm older, I'm not afraid of his punishment. Like, he's an old man. Not that old. He's still young, but he's 70. His paddle can't do anything to me, but now I want to live a life to be remembered because I want to honor my father's name. I don't want to bring dishonor to his name. Not afraid of him anymore, or afraid of his belt. I want to honor his name. And so often, walking with Jesus, people stay in this place of being afraid. And it's like, man, you gotta know his heart. You gotta seek his heart, and you'll see the love he has for you. And there won't be fear. You're not gonna be afraid of what he can do. It's gonna be like, man, this guy, he loves me. He loves me. I want to honor his name. I want to help people out. I want people to meet him. One of the best things, my dad worked in a power plant his whole career for International Paper. And I'll living in Selma, it's a small town, and I'll meet people, and they'll come up to me, and my last name is a unique name to Selma. It's Bergeron. If you live in South Louisiana, they say Bergeron. So when I introduce myself, the first thing people say is, "Are you related to Greg?" And I'll say, "That's my dad." And they will just honor him about the job he did as a manager. And it blesses me, and it really set the bar high for me. And it's kind of put the bar up for me because I see the joy I get that when I meet people They have nothing but good to say about my father. And so as a father, it's like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy who, when my children meet a new person, they say, I know your dad. I was in trouble one time and your dad helped me. You know, and we need more young men like that. More young men who are willing to make the sacrifice. I mean, that's what AJ, how old are you? Like 20 something? Still halfway young, 28, 29. Got a couple new babies. But like, we need men like that who make the sacrifice for their children and their wives. You know, a lot of these young guys, man, I don't know, is it in the water? Oh, you 30, you still young. You still young. I don't know if it's in the water or what, but it's like, I've always admired the William Wallaces, you know, the Bravehearts of this world. So actually, last year, since we got on the William Wallace thing, where it's like, has anybody ever seen, since we started off, thank you, Vanessa, I like them too. But since we started off talking about movies, oh man, wow, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, has anybody ever seen, oh man, what's the name of that movie? It's got Matthew McConaughey in it. It was his first movie he ever got. Dazed and Confused. In that movie, he says, you just got to keep on living. But about a year ago, oh yeah, man, forget about the quotas. Always wanted the invite back. But about a year and a half ago, it was actually right before we started doing the candle stuff. I mean the coffee stuff with Jason and Brooke. Like literally like the month before, I was playing tennis. So PJ, you like Dazed and Confused? That's a great one, isn't it? But we were fixing to start, and I've gotten into, in about the past year and a half, I got into playing tennis. And Kennedy and I are about to go, we're going to a tennis tournament. I might put some footage out for that. But we're going on a tennis tournament, first one ever. It's playing mixed doubles where it's a male and a female that are playing on the same team. And man, we've been married 20 years and have kind of figured out how to not fight all the time. But when we play tennis together, I'm like, we need to have a marriage counselor on call for this. Because like with tennis, you got to have a short memory. You have to be able to, like, when you screw up, whenever you screw up, you got to forget about it and move past it, or it'll mess your whole game up. And so my training in Wing Chun has kind of helped me like find peace very quickly. She never went through that, so she'll get mad, and then it makes me mad because she's getting mad at herself, and then it's just. Does anybody ever get mad at their spouse? The people you love the most, you just get. I got mad at her today, man, and I had to like apologize because I was like, man, Ryan, you don't need to be mad about that, but the only thing have ever criticized Kennedy about is her driving. And I'm trying, because it scares me to death riding in the car with her. It's like she just like quits paying attention. And I'm like sitting there like digging my fingers into the center console, and she's just isn't even aware of what's going on. And she's not here to defend herself, so I can talk like this. I might just spend a night here tonight. I don't know. But like today, we're sitting at a red light. Okay, aggravated, PJ. Thank you. So we're at a red light. We had to run to Walmart to get some more bubble wrap, and she was pulling out, and like there's this like 12-foot ditch right next to us, and like she jumps the curb, and I'm in the passenger seat looking at this thing in that car, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I didn't see it." And I'm like, "You didn't have to see it. All you got to do is stay in the road." She's like, "It was an accident." And I'm like, "But this always happens." It's like, man, she bent a rim one time, it's just like, come on, man. But yes, that's the one thing. The only thing I ever fuss at is like, and she's like, "I hate when you ride with me." And I'm like, "Me too." At least we're on one accord with this. But so, all right. I do want to drive, but she won't let me. So going back to my tennis story, I told you I'm like a squirrel, man. But sometimes I can come back. So we I was playing tennis, and I was hitting tennis with my dad. So the reason I started tennis is because like my dad plays, my mom plays, my sister can play, my brother can play. My son got into it really really hard and heavy, and then my daughter started playing, and then Kennedy started playing. And I'm like, well, everybody in my family plays, so I better start playing. And so this was, my dad and I had just gotten to playing, and I went and I was practicing my serving. And it was, it was hot, but not any hotter than I was used to it being. And so I'm hitting serves, everything's fine. We had just played a set and nothing happened. And like right then, it's like somebody flipped a switch and my heart started beating real fast. And so I go sit down and drink some water and like put a cool towel on my head. And I'm like, all right, maybe this will quit. And it didn't quit. And I'm not somebody who like freaks out over, over injuries. I'm just kind of like, I'll be all right. Rub some dirt in it. It'll be all right. And so it started beating, and I sat out there like 5 or 10 minutes, and it didn't slow down. And my dad's like, he told me, he said, "Ryan, they got one of these, here we go, look, fragile, got candles." But he said they've got one of, those blood pressure machines. You stick your arm in it and it squeezes. It squeezes. And so I went inside and did it, and that thing just flatlined. It wouldn't read. And so, all right. But but the BP cuff. And so it wouldn't read anything. And so I tried it like 10 times and it never read anything. And so my dad, he went in there and said, "Let me try it." And And so he tried it and it worked fine. And so I called a friend of mine who's a surgeon, and I'm like, hey man, I said, look, this is going on. I said, do I need to do something about it? And he said, yeah, you probably need to go to urgent care. And I said, all right, well, I'll go check it out. So I headed, and urgent care was closed. So there was another one, and I started driving there. And then I called, she's like her name's Ellen, and we're the godparents to her children. And she was like a nurse in the ER room and a nurse practitioner. And I said, hey, Ellen, this is what's going on. I'm headed to urgent care. And she said, don't go to urgent care. They're just going to send you to the ER. She said, go to the ER. So I went to the ER, and they hooked me up to an EKG. And I'm sitting in there, and they said, we need to put you in a trauma room. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm all right, man. And so they put me in a trauma room, and they, pulled my shirt up and started sticking all these things on. And then they stuck like all these sticky things. And I look over, and it's a defibrillator, one of those things that resets your heart. And I'm like, man, this might be getting serious now. And the nurse, the nurse practitioner was a young girl, and she looked like she was freaking out. And I looked at her, I'm like, hey, do I need to call my wife and kids and tell them I love them? And she was like, no, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. And I look at her, and I'm like, well, y'all got me hooked up to the thing that brings me back to life. And looking at your face, you don't believe that. And so I called Kennedy. She was actually out of town. And I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but just letting you know I love you. Actually, I told her, I was like, I'm okay. I just had to go get this checked out because I didn't want her to worry about it. So the ER doctor came, and I don't know if y'all have heard me talking about going to Africa when I went, but he was actually the guy who headed up that organization. And so I went with him to Africa. So, those little God moments where it's like, oh, and he was so calm, and he was talking to me, and he said, oh, this isn't a big deal. We see this all the time. And I said, okay, so if it happens again, what do I do? Do I just need to let it go? And he said, no, you need to get back here quickly. And I'm like, what is it? It's a big deal then. But it ended up being, I've got SVT tachycardia. I don't know if anybody knows I didn't know what that was, but it turns out my heart rate jumped up to 212 beats per minute, and it stayed there for like an hour before it came down. And after the fact, I called Ellen, my godchildren's mother, and I told her that, and I said, look, that girl looked like she was freaking out. And she looks at me, she said, Ryan, she was. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, man, your heart could have gone into a death rhythm. And I'm like, well, nobody told me that, man. They were just looking scared and telling me I'm all right. But here's the thing, from what I'm learning is they tried to put me on all these pharmaceuticals for it. And I'm like, well, that doesn't treat the root of the problem. That doesn't treat the root of the problem. That just treats a symptom. I want to fix the root of the problem. And so I don't know. I skipped my last appointment, but yes, I skipped, or I missed it. I didn't mean to skip it. But I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on? I mean, for me, it's like, this is a symptom of something deeper. So let's pursue how to fix the root of the problem. I don't want to fix a symptom and end up being to where I have to take this stuff all the rest of my life. So I might be an idiot, but we'll see. But I hadn't really had much problems with it since. I mean, I've had a couple short. Stress is worse for SVT. That's probably what caused it. That being at the a project manager, that might have caused it. So. Always a home run derby try. So tennis is a tough sport. I have a newfound respect for it. It's a lot of. It reminds me of the kung fu though, because it's a lot of repetitive. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading Linda. Oh man, that's awesome. That's a testimony. If y'all hold on, I got to pull it back. If y'all read Linda Green's post, man, that's a testimony right there. All right. I might go to a different doctor that'll try and help me figure it out. Bob, that's what they said to do was to like I don't know, like hold your breath and push really hard. So the times it's done it, but that's what I've kind of done and it stopped. But you know, be all right. It'll be all right. Ventricular. I'm not a fan of the medicine they want me to take. Well, that's kind of how I feel. Oh man, what kind of business does he own, Mary? Business ownership, man, it's a lot to it. Just to make sure. Health South at Shelby. All right. Man, Linda, that is a testimony. I appreciate you sharing that. She's a fighter, man. So, I talked about life hitting you in the mouth. I'll get it checked. You know what I asked him? I said, can I not just carry a taser around and tase myself if it flares up? Would that work? All right, I'm just reading some stuff. But do y'all think that would reset it? Is there a medical professional on here who could tell me if tasing yourself? Okay, that could kill me. All right, never mind. Man, my wife tased me once. She thought it was funny. Okay. Oh yeah, she's on Facebook. I'm sorry. They told me they could go in and like cauterize. They could find, because they said it's something electrical. That's why you never know when it's going to happen. And they can go in and cauterize it. And I mean, that's the route I'd rather take. Uh-oh. Oh man. I just got my orders out of line. It'll be all right. But y'all, Y'all know. So in the in ablation, that's what it's called. Thank you, Kathy. Look, Jason is a wordsmith. I am not. um, I won't use. No, they told me not to, so I'm not. I'm not going to do that. But for me, it's like if it would work. All right. Elise, I remember you coming. I remember you and your mama coming. What? Oh, you're going to receive the candles. Michael Key. Look, Michael Key's trying to roast me. You better be careful, boy. I'll get you. I'll just tell a story about a friend from yesterday, Michael Key. Where is he? Look, I mean, he's going to answer about that now. All right, Cat's Tiny Kitchen, thank you. Had an ablation truck. Well, and I kind of feel like, I might be wrong thinking it, but no medicine after the ablation. Well, that's what I want to do because I'm like, the medicine it's just dealing with the symptoms. I want to deal with the root of the problem. Kind of like in life too, A lot of the things that I struggle with are symptoms of a deeper problem. What's your next candle smell? You're not ashamed, Michael. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with you. What's the next candle smell going to be? That's a surprise. I can't, I'm look, guys, y'all got to understand, like, the whole game plan of, like, we were on cruise control with the candle stuff until all that stuff happened. And so now I got to, I gotta kind of back up and punt and find suppliers for vessels and all that kind of stuff. All right, Elise. Man, we had a good time when you came and visited. Michael Key, you playing around too much, brother. I'm gonna get you here in a second. I'm gonna tell a story about somebody who had the good Lord trying to speak wisdom to them, and they didn't listen. Yeah, so there's a Christmas scent that I tried that was like legit awesome. But then I had a green apple scent that was really good that I tried. But the funny thing, man, here's the bad thing. Working with the coffee and the candles, it's like I've lost my ability. I'm losing my scent. Like I'm almost immune to it all. So, like when I walk into the candle room, everybody else is like, "Oh, that smells so good," and I'm like, "Well, I don't even smell it anymore." So, but look, I always smell good. That's a positive of doing this kind of stuff. Back in the day, when I worked with my in-laws, we used to do asphalt, and so I would come home smelling like tar. And if you want to know what suffering looks like, it's paving in 110-degree weather in Alabama. God, it was miserable. But I had an old framer that I worked with. Yeah, it smelled, and it'd get all over your shoe. You'd have to clean. So this stuff's so crazy, man. You would literally have to take diesel fuel and spray it on your boots and to clean it off shovels and stuff. But you're going to be tough if you do that stuff. I can promise you that. That was back when I was tough. I'm getting soft like Michael Key now. Jen, glad you could make it. But I tell you what, Kennedy likes to hug me a little bit more now than and when I was doing construction. Take the med. You know, the problem, Patty, with every candle person I've ever talked to says that it's almost impossible to make a true coffee, like one that really smells. But you know, I had the idea you could almost do like a coffee line and do like latte flavor, like a salted caramel latte or something like that. But that just original coffee, it's just really hard to get that. Elise, you come on, man. I'd love to have you help me, dear. I remember you were so sweet, and your mama was too. Elise and her mama came to visit me, and this girl's going after her dreams, man. It was exciting to talk to her. So if ever anybody's driving through Selma, I love visitors. And so y'all feel free to stop by and pop your head in. It won't bother me. We'll have a good time. I always laugh because so many people stop in here. Just don't use the burnt roast. Burnt. Do a lot more. All right, Janet. I will get it checked. Hey, Miss Mary. Oh yeah, he ain't gonna be here shortly. Man, Michael Key's 30 minutes past his bedtime. Let me see. I got to make sure I'm sending it to the right place. Cleveland, Tennessee. My kids actually said they want to move to Tennessee. Tell us about that furniture behind me. All right. This furniture behind me is they're actually candle tables. So you can fit, they've got do I look like Vanna White? They've got your shelves so you can stock your candles. And they've got, look, I'm going to take y'all on a tour. Hold on. So these actually will fold up and fold down. Can y'all see? All right. That's what Kennedy's been doing. She's been bubble wrapping. Bubble wrapping the candles. But look, here's the cool thing. So this got drawers where you can, look at that. Isn't that neat? So those are all the candles we've got put together. Now that I can smell that. That smells good. Don't tell Jamie because she will want that. Like, oh, you want one? Come on to Alabama. You can have it. No, I'm just kidding. All right, and there's the melting pot. That thing will hold 300 pounds of wax. So, and if the candles don't work out, I'm going to start cooking gumbo out of it. And probably, man, that might work pretty well with gumbo because it keeps he'll want to pop the bubbles. As long as he doesn't eat the bubble wrap, Tanya. I wonder if that would make a good gumbo pot. I bet you it would because it keeps the temperature consistent. And so for your roux, it wouldn't burn. Mary, I can't tell all the secrets. But we do have some other scents that we're going to go with. But this peach one, man, it's what I like about this scent that we chose. Thank you, North Carolina girl. Yeah, the peach, man. What I like about it is that it's a softer scent. Like, you know how some of those scents, they like, I don't know, it like gives you a headache and it hits you in the mouth. These aren't like that. They're kind of that subtle hint to where you're like, something smells good. And so, yep, that's what I like about it. So I did. So like when I do some scents, I run it. Bobby, you can go to Cog Hill Farm, and they've got them on their store. Right now, we're just doing 1 cent because it's kind of a new deal. Gumbo with a hint of peach. Well, look, we don't flavor we don't scent the candles in the big pot because it'll burn out the scent. So I'm sitting there whenever we pour in candles, my job's to stir. I stir it in. So hold on, let me put this order together. So man, it's a nut house when we do it. So when we do it, I've got Kennedy. Kennedy's here. Marin, my daughter. Jack, who is Marin's boyfriend. And so, like, I'm filling them up and putting the scent in, and then you got to sit there and stir them for like 2 minutes to mix everything in. Uh-oh, any thoughts on the wax melt? All right, look. I won't give y'all all the secrets. What music do I have playing in the background? I don't have something on Spotify. Let me see. That was Luke Combs. This is George Strait. Check yes or no. All right. Any idea on the wax melts? That's the one secret I'm going to share. We are in the process of we've made some, but I've still got some work to do on it. You know, that fire kind of disrupted some things, threw a wrench in some things, and so it'll eventually come. So be on the lookout. Yes, please. Yes, please. And they smell good too. They smell good too. So right now we got George Strait playing. I remember I went and saw him in Birmingham when I was young with my wife and her brother and sister and all their boyfriends and girlfriends. And I used to smoke Marlboro Lights, and so I walked out. It was in the BJCC arena, and they didn't let you smoke in there. So I walked out. I walked out to smoke a cigarette, and I got locked out and missed the whole concert. So there's your reason not to smoke, right there. You'll miss a concert that you want to be at. But, it's one of those things. Luke Combs is from North Carolina. You know, every year for the past couple years, not available yet, Nancy. We've got some little bit more to perfect, but we're in the process. It'll be soon. So North Carolina, girl, we actually try and take a family vacation to what is it, Ski Beach or something like that around Christmas every year. And last year, oh my goodness, Alaska. Last year I actually snowboarded. I've skied my whole life, or not my whole life, since I was I don't know. We took a trip when I was a youth minister. We took a trip skiing, and that's kind of where where I learned how to ski. But last year I was like, I'm getting older. I'm going to get to the point where I can't learn it. So it took me about a half a day of being with all the little kids on the bunny slope, but I picked it up. Yeah, I love it, man. North Carolina's beautiful. Beautiful. I'm a big fan of the mountains. In the wintertime, or the fall. Yeah, PJ, it's me, man. I'm not. It is. I get help from my family. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell y'all what I'll do. I'll show y'all something cool. So we're gonna go to the coffee place. So my niece, she's about to go to college in right outside LA. She's in. I'm sorry. She is very artistic. She is into drama. My sister's got 9 kids. She's the third of the 9. Very artistic, music, plays the piano better than I've ever heard. Just an awesome young lady. And a year ago, I asked her, I said, can you paint me a mural at my shop? She said, well, what do you want? And I said, I'd love the mountains and all that kind of stuff. All right, sorry about the glare. And so she's leaving for college next weekend. And she said, I want to make sure that I can get this finished for Uncle Ryan before I leave. And so, hold on, I'm gonna reveal it to y'all. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Oh, there it is. Can y'all see it? Or is it like, I don't know, man, that glare. The lights here is terrible. Isn't that pretty cool? She painted that and it took her like 2 or 3 days. But it was all that was like just a solid yellow sheetrock wall. It's just very dull and plain. And so I think when I do long form videos, I might use that as a backdrop. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Michael Key actually came by and saw it at the beginning. So yeah, man, that girl, it was her first one to ever do. So it meant a lot, man. That's just a sweet, whenever I hear people fuss about like the next generation, I always have to correct them because, man, the ones I see coming out are just like solid kids. And they're just like the ones who are good they're just amazing. And so they're a lot better than I was. I was wild when I was young. Made a lot of stupid choices. Yeah. So when I was a teenager, my mama once told me, she said, Ryan, I don't know, y'all there's a video where I got let people meet my Muti and Opa, but my mama was like, Ryan, she said, I love you and I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made when I was younger. And I said, well, Mama, said sometimes you got to learn from your own mistakes. And that's the way I've lived. I've made a lot of mistakes. But that's where I learn, man. Jesus will teach me in my mistakes. He's like, now Ryan, that wasn't the best thing to do, was it? It's like, nah, probably not. Probably not. When you receive a lot of mercy, it's easy to give mercy, right? Night, Betty. Thanks for hanging out with us and chilling. So, the good thing, so my shop is actually like not in the best section of town. It's, Selma is, I think I heard Michael Key, if he's still watching, he might have been the one who told me, but it's like the murder rate per capita is higher than Chicago. Somebody was telling me that. I don't know if I believe it, but it's it's a small city, but there's just a lot of poverty and a lot of violence. But my shop is actually oh yeah, I am actually working, Tammy. I'm working on the candles tonight. I roasted about 400 pounds of coffee this afternoon and today. So kind of got to a good place with that. I got next town west of Siller. All right, Michael, I'll get you. I would. Uh, he forgave you and came after you. Yeah. Took to the age of 64 to get peace. That's somebody on Facebook kind of sharing a little bit of their testimony. That's something, Linda, something that's happened with me too is like, I think I did a video. I did a video this week. I think it was Friday. I put it out on. It was a short, but it was talking about like struggling with your faith. And man, I used to have people like shame you because you're in a place where you're struggling with your faith. Like, oh, I didn't know that, Jen. It's all right. I hadn't turned any monetization on Facebook, so. But I thank you for telling me that. This is I don't know. Is it loud? I thought it was just in the background. So, all right. I guess I'll turn that off. So, thank you, Jen, for letting me know that. So, PJ, Lori, I am live. All right. So, PJ, I don't decaffeinate the coffee here. That is actually done in the coffee process, and they have a processing facility that does that. And so, like a lot of the decaf, the less expensive decaf, they will they use a bunch of chemicals, and then like the next best step is I think they use some kind of sugar cane, some piece of the sugar cane to get it off, and that's kind of a natural decaffeinated coffee. Kathy, I've been to Mexico, but not on the border. I've been way down where there weren't a lot of gringos. But so the decaffeinating process, so the natural process, they use some kind of sugar cane to decaffeinate it, but the cleanest way is the water processed, and that's kind of oh, that's awesome, Tammy. But the water processed is the cleanest way to decaffeinate, and so that the decaf we get organic and water processed, so it's going to be no chemicals or anything like that in it. It's really, really a clean coffee. But Y'all still there? I think my computer died, but I don't know if this pulled up. I got to. Is it still alive? Okay. All right. So y'all can see me. Sorry, guys. I was. My computer died. Uh-oh. See ya. You. Am I still alive? Yeah, I'm still alive. I was just talking about how dangerous Selma was, and his screen goes black. Man, that's funny. Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. That's me not listening to the warnings of my computer that it's. I thought it would have more battery than it did. So some people, I don't blame them for saying goodnight. It's like 6:30. Y'all been chatting, man. Hey, look, that's what it's all about. Michael Key was talking junk about Michael. I'm gonna tell that little story about when I called you the other day. Let me look up here. Fine, I'll find it. I'll get you. All is good. All right. Well, I apologize for that, guys. I can honestly say I'm not technologically advanced. Michael Key. I'm gonna get you, boy. That's because he loves me. He doesn't realize I'm gonna have a microphone in front of me tomorrow. I'll call him out in front of everybody. Hey, Melissa, I'm back. Okay. He was on. I think he was on YouTube, Carolyn. So, yeah, I apologize, guys. I'm not the most technologically advanced individual, but I can operate a bulldozer and an excavator. He just said I was still talking. No. If the screen would have stayed on, I'd have probably sat here and talked until I ran out of something to say. Yeah, he's on YouTube, I think. He actually texted me and was like, "Hey, man, we lost you." So he's a good dude, man. He really is. He really is. I want to say thank you, guys. Yes, I'm doing StreamYard. I had to ask Melissa, you take care and have a good evening. I had to ask Jason. I said, "How do you stream to two platforms?" And that was the way. And so I said, "Well, let me try that out." And I should have him on. Who's that? Michael Key? If I had Michael Key on, I'd have to make him wear a mask, or y'all single women wouldn't leave him alone. Y'all call Jason Alabama Fabio. What do we call Michael Key? Michael Key looks like Brad Pitt. He's a good-looking young man. Jason is the wordsmith and tech support, man. He is. He's good at that stuff, man. I'm brand new. I'm retired, so I'm listening to you. All right, my dad's retired. I'd be honored. I might get Michael to come on here. He doesn't live too far away. I'm gonna tell y'all though, Michael's worse than Lester with the waterworks. If I bring Michael on here, he'll tell a story and he's gonna be crying. I can guarantee it. I'll bring him on here and he'll have some tears running down his eyes. Sorry guys, I wear contacts because my vision's like negative. I think it's negative 450 on both eyes. And then when I wear them all day, I can't see as good. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, Lori. I think I've had one of those at one time. I didn't know it though. I just looking back, it was something was going on. Ryan the Roaster has nothing to do with coffee. Michael Key, am I telling the truth? You got no secrets, my friend. Look, I will tell you, Michael comes over to my shop like at least once a week, and we just talk and fellowship and hang out. And he's becoming a good friend. The guy's a hero. Saved my mother-in-law. Went into a burning vehicle. No, the car wasn't burning, but he pulled her out of the front windshield. I could have embellished that story and made it really fun, where y'all would have thought he was Superman. But we'll all cry together. I can literally, it's sad. At one point, look, like seriously, at one point I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, something's wrong with me because I can't cry. Since I was probably 20 years old, I can count 5 times, or I can count about 5 times that I've cried. And close to sit there and listen to y'all and cry for sure. Yeah. Well, that's so what used to happen in my shop, man, is people would come by and just sit and talk. They had an intern program in Selma, and all these kids from Asbury Theological Seminary in Kentucky, they would come in here and they just for hours would talk, and I'd always say we'd have church in here, man, because just some cool teachings and learnings, and that's what kind of the heart behind this is like, man, Lord, if whatever you're doing in here, we could take it and spread it with other people, it would be amazing. But yeah, remember crying. I cried in Africa. That was cool, man. I was ugly crying. Where else? I don't know. Cried over some stuff with my kids. The last time I cried, I think, I don't know, this is bad. I might not say this. People might know it. Yeah, North Carolina girl. In the Bible, it talks about how God used a donkey to talk. Who was it? Balaam's donkey. Figured if he could use that, he might be able to use someone like me. That's the funny thing. Happy, sad, hungry, anything. Yeah. I remember, man, when there was just a stressful moment. when I was kind of thinking about leaving civil construction, that was the last time I remember just like boo-hooing. And it was to my wife. And it wasn't, it was like the stress of leaving men that, I really cared about. And kind of felt like I was walking out on them. And but it was a place where I had to get out of there, man. It was not good. I told my wife, we're either not going to be married or I'm not going to be around anymore. So at that point, it's like, got to go. That's awesome, Linda. Very neat. But all right, guys, let me see. So here's a fact. I played the bass at church for the little worship band. It's like, I don't know. Right now, our drummer's out for work. He's working, traveling. But my dad plays like the lead guitar, and a friend of mine plays the rhythm acoustic, and I play the bass. And so what that means is I'm gonna have to be up early and get there because we practice Sunday mornings before church. So I'm about to have to wish everybody a wonderful evening and go home and see Kennedy and get some sleep. You feel a jam session. Look, man, that guy who I play with is like extremely talented, just singing and just very gifted. And I could probably bring him in here and we could probably play something. I don't know if anybody'd be interested in that though. But it'd be fun. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get home, get some sleep. So you sing solo. No one. I don't like singing either. Set it up and let y'all listen. All right, I might do that. But hey, look, thank y'all so much for hanging. I mean, seriously, if I didn't get on and do this, y'all see what I'm doing. It'd literally be me doing this by myself with no one to talk to. So y'all don't realize what a blessing it is to be able to just sit and interact with you guys. So thank y'all so much. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome. And hey, be happy and love others. Y'all take care.